Oh, it's Petro Predictions.
Since their country's independence, Ukraine have only failed to make it out of their World Cup qualification group once. Ukraine managed to top their World Cup qualification group once and directly qualify for the World Cup for the 2006 World Cup, where they made their debut. Ukraine have been forced into the World Cup qualifying playoffs 5 times, into which they've been unsuccessful on all 5 occasions, hence why I've dubbed them the unluckiest team in World Cup qualifiers. Even though Ukraine did very well and were very close to qualifying for the 1998 and 2002 World Cups, it's particularly since their debut, so after the 2026 World Cup, where I think Ukraine have really been unlucky in the playoffs. The 2010 World Cup qualifying playoff, Ukraine actually had a favourable draw in that their opponent was Greece instead of, say, France or Portugal, and given that Ukraine made it to the quarter-finals of the last World Cup in 2006, confidence was understandably high and expectations were there to make a consecutive World Cup appearance. However, Greece had other things in their mind and they played very defensively, and even though Ukraine dominated large periods of both games within that tie, they just couldn't execute it, and Greece, as defensive as they were, used that to their advantage and qualified ahead. For the 2014 World Cup qualifiers, Ukraine were 1 point away from qualifying directly for the World Cup, and this can be seen in one game where Ukraine drew to Moldova away. If they had won that game, even by 1-0, they would have finished 1 point ahead of England and qualified directly. Instead, they had to go to the playoffs again. After some strong performances, Ukraine were deservedly ranked in pot 1 ahead of the playoff draw. However, more bad fortune was to fall for Ukraine as they drew the most difficult opposition in pot 2, France, out of all the other teams. A 1 in 4 chance as well of that happening. However, Ukraine defied all odds and comfortably led France 2-0 in the first leg. However, in the second leg, they still played well, but they just weren't quite good enough in the final third. And France rode their luck very much, a lot. So France won 3-0 on aggregate, 3-2 to France. And the second goal for France was clearly offside. Look at that. So a bit of dodgy refereeing there as well, and Ukrainian hearts were broken once again. And I think it's fair to say that 2014 World Cup qualifiers is the most heartbreaking for Ukraine. The 2018 World Cup qualifiers, Ukraine were in a really competitive qualification group actually, and okay, their form dipped, they didn't do as well, fair enough. 2022 World Cup qualifiers, Ukraine made it to the playoffs again, no surprise there, and in the first semi-final thing, they beat Scotland away very convincingly and very deservedly. However, in their final playoff, which again was away for them, they unfortunately lost 1-0 very agonisingly to a Gareth Bale free kick / a Yarmolenko own goal. Given war in Ukraine just broke out before the 2022 World Cup qualification playoffs, it's so understandable why they didn't qualify for multiple reasons. However, I'm still really uncertain all these ever so close near misses Ukraine have had for qualifying for World Cups. So please let me know in the comment section below, like, why this has happened, why they've had so many very agonizingly close near misses for qualifying for the World Cup. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.